It's the Scotty Myers Show.
Hey, welcome to this week's edition of the show. I'm your host, Scotty Myers. Hopefully, you are having a fantastic week so far. This week, I'm coming to you from Denver. Second time I've been in Denver in right around a month. And the first time I was here, I didn't really go out and explore the city very much. So I didn't really have an opinion on Denver. The only thing I could see were the mountains, which are beautiful. But this time, I've popped around the city a bit more. Really, really nice city. Really well laid out, even though it's very spread out. It's really nicely laid out. Some beautiful thing. A Capitol building I saw today is one of the nicest Capitol buildings I've seen in any city that I've been in any country. Absolutely fantastic. But when I say it's spread out, I had this craving last night for Cracker Barrel. I don't know if you've ever eaten there. It's one of my favorite restaurants to go to on the road. I can get a really healthy meal there and also some fantastic cornbread. And I love cornbread. So last night I was kind of craving cornbread and I Google mapped Cracker Barrel and the closest one was about a half hour away. And I was like, yeah, I got nothing else to do. Screw it. I'm going to get cornbread. And I got there and just my luck, no cornbread. They were baking fresh cornbread, but they said it would be a little while. And I didn't want to be out all night. So I didn't even get the cornbread. But if you've never eaten a Cracker Barrel and there's one near you, I highly recommend it. One thing I wanted to touch on, first off, thank you for all the kind words on the Biff Naked interview. It was my pleasure to bring that to you. Definitely go check out her new single, Jim. She is amazing. The plan was to have another interview for you this week. That's what I want to do every week. I want to bring you the show and also bring you an interview, whether it's with a musician, if I can get some actors on, putting some feelers out to the comic book world. Anybody, I will ask anybody if they want to chat. The worst thing that's going to happen is they or their publicist or whatever is going to say no, or they're not available right now or anything like that. So if you have somebody that you would like me to chat with on the show, I don't care how big of a name they are, fire it off to me and I will do my damnedest to get that person on the show. So if there's somebody you'd like to see as a guest, just let me know. The Scotty Myers Show on Facebook and Instagram. Also at Scotty Myers on Twitter. I'll do my damnedest to book the person. And I usually don't take the first no without some sort of rebuttal. I definitely push back a little bit. But thank you for all the kind words on the Biff Naked interview. I'm sure Biff will be on again. She's just too sweet. I just enjoy talking to her too much. And if you missed it, that's the beauty of podcasts. One thing about coming from radio, man, is if I did an interview like that, first off, I would have had to cut the fuck out of it. We chatted for about a half hour. You might have heard 4 minutes of it. And secondly, if you missed it, it's right there for you. Just go back and listen to last week's episode. And you can catch Biff Naked. Fantastic, fantastic person. Inside, out, everything about her is wicked. But again, hit me up with any suggestions on who you may like me to try to book as a guest on the show. Also, over the last couple of weeks, you may have heard I was talking a little bit about some dizziness that I was having. I did get to the doctor and figured out it's a post-viral thing. I've never had this before, but apparently if you get a flu, sometimes it can kick around in your head for a little while. And even though you don't feel sick, you have some sort of symptom. And mine was some dizziness. It's thankfully gone away. But as soon as that went away, didn't I get a massive gout flare-up? Now, if you're not familiar with what gout is, I'm going to tell you, it's not pleasant. A lot of people joke about it. It's actually can be very debilitating. In a way, it is a form of arthritis, in a way. But really what it is your body doesn't process uric acid correctly, and it will go into a joint, typically in your foot. For most people, it's typically in their big toe. Mine tends to be in my ankle. And basically, it crystallizes the uric acid on your joint and makes it incredibly painful. Like, I could not walk on the weekend. It was rough. Doctor gave me some steroids, which was awesome. Now I'm totally jacked, but it cleared it up pretty good. So I'm feeling good now. But man, February has been a weird month health-wise for me. It's really, really bizarre. But on the mend now. But if anybody ever tells you, oh, I suffer from gout, don't. It used to be called like the rich man's disease or the king's disease because you used to get it from meat. And back then, only rich and royalty ate meat, especially rich meats. But yeah, don't joke. They could be in a lot of pain. Okay, on to some silly news of the week. Do you remember a couple of years ago, some company thought it was a great idea to bring out ketchup slices, like slices of ketchup? Even just saying it, my stomach kind of turns. Well, if that wasn't sick enough, a company in Japan basically had the equivalent of a hold my beer statement because they have now released Mayo Slices. I know I'm in the minority here. Mayo is just disgusting. There's about 3 or 4 things I think mayo is acceptable on, and that's pushing it. I would pretty much myself say 1. Mix up mayo in either tuna salad or chicken salad. That's it. That's it. I don't want mayo on a burger. You people that put mayo on your French fries, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. There's a therapy issue there that you really need to get worked out. But yeah, just absolutely ridiculous stuff. And they're doing Mayo Slices, which, like I said, sounds sick enough. But again, I said it was a hold my beer moment because they flavored them. And you might be thinking, well, what did they flavor them? Like chicken or, things that, no, fish flavors. They're all fish flavors because that's what you want in your mayo is for it to smell and taste like fish. Absolutely disgusting. No word yet on if this creation in Japan is going to make it to North America. I pray it does not. Just keep it in Japan. But if you like your mayo, just, stick with squeezing it on your shit. You don't need it sliced up. That's just silliness. And it's also kind of a bizarre height of laziness. Now, this one I could keep for geek news because it is a little bit of on the geek end, but it's also just a massive entertainment story. Bob Iger, who was the CEO of the Disney Corporation, has stepped down. Pretty much effective immediately. Now, he's going to stay on in a creative role and oversee some creative projects in that there, but very surprising. He had been hinting at this for a while, but the way this happened, where it was just like, boom, he stepped down, very shocking. And a lot of great things happened in the Disney Corporation under the watch of Bob Iger. I mean, they bought Lucasfilm, they bought Marvel. Like, this guy's done a lot of great things to help Disney. Not that they weren't already one of the biggest brands in entertainment, but when you look at everything they've bought over the last 10 years, 15 years, of course, Lucasfilm, Marvel, Fox, all the things they've done to the theme parks to improve them. All that was under Bob Iger's command. And now he's still with the company, but not in the same position. So it'll be curious to see what kind of trickle down this has for the Disney Corporation. Now, the guy that was running the parks has stepped into Bob Iger's position, and apparently that was always the plan. So this guy's been kind of being groomed to do it. But I'll be curious to see what it does to the Disney Corporation. This is a massive change and something that we're going to have to keep our eye on. And, what this means for the franchises going forward. What does this mean for Marvel? What does this mean for Star Wars and all these great properties that they have, Pixar films? All these things could be seen in a different light because of Bob Iger stepping down. So be curious to see what happens at Disney as we roll forward in this new era of Disney entertainment. Hopefully it kind of stays the same and continues to go down the path, because I'm maybe I'm the minority here, but I haven't had a problem with anything they've done. The Marvel movies are what they are. They're good. I enjoy everything they've done with Star Wars. Fox, I think maybe my only nitpick is I think they canceled, and this hasn't even been confirmed to my knowledge, but I think they canceled the next Die Hard movie. So that bugs me a little bit. But other than that, I'm on board with what they've been doing. So just be curious. Keep an eye on the Mouse House for the next little while. On to our off story of the week. The story where when you see the headline, you just go, Oh, for fuck's sakes. And this is a story that, we're kind of over almost a month away from when it happened, but the fact that it's still making headlines is part of the offs. And then the story itself is an off story. But the Super Bowl halftime show complaints, they released a number of how many complaints they got, and it was over 1,300 complaints for the Shakira J-Lo Super Bowl halftime show. To my knowledge, none of those complaints were just, it was bad. And that's where I stand with it. I was amazed how many people said it was good. I kind of watched it and I was just kind of bored by it. And the only thing I learned from it was that Shakira can pretend to play two different instruments, which, great. I can pretend to play more than two. But anyway, but of course, these people that are complaining are obviously, I would say uber religious people, because some of them are complaining that it was soft porn. Some of them complaining like one of their kids ran to, this is my favorite story. One guy in his complaint letter wrote that his 13-year-old child ran to his room because he was so upset by it. No, the 13-year-old child ran to his room because he had to rub one out. Like, he's a teenage kid watching Shakira and J-Lo and next to nothing. Come on. But then the complaint that it's soft porn, you've never seen soft porn. You know what? As a kid, before the internet, soft porn was almost the best I could get. Like a good Shannon Tweed movie. Do you ever sit back and watch a Shannon Tweed movie? Oh, if you're younger, you haven't. But, oh my. The video stores, when you could go into the thriller section, thriller was code for soft porn. It really was. Like, you go into that thriller section and you would have your big Hollywood thrillers. And you knew what those were. But then a couple of rows down were ones called like Night Calls. Or, they would have the cheesiest names. And the cover would be a really attractive woman. And you read the back and they all had the same thing. Really attractive woman, hits on a guy and is basically like a femme fatale, right? Tears this guy's life apart. And how does she do it? With sex. Seedy sex. And, like I said, Shannon Tweed, Gene Simmons' wife, one of the biggest stars of these types of films. But as a kid, going to the video store, you could rent these. Because most of the time, even though they were rated R, no guy working in the video store looked at a kid and went, "You're not old enough to rent this." They just rented it to you. So that was your porn, pre-internet. And they were great. So I've seen enough softcore porn in my day to know that the Super Bowl halftime show, not softcore porn. Not. If one of them had taken their top off, like Janet Jackson did at a Super Bowl halftime show, then maybe we could have called it softcore porn. All it was right there was basically, if you ever go to a strip club and the stripper dances for the first song, they don't take anything off. That's all that was. And then the second song, they take their top off. Third song, if it's a bottomless club, they take the bottoms off. That's how it goes. All the Super Bowl halftime show was the first song. That's it. Nothing more. And you know what? Very few people tip during the first song. So to say it was soft porn, offs. On to our geek news of the week. There was some surprising stuff this week in the geek news world. Some big news. We're going to start with one that caught me by surprise. I didn't even know this was a project in development, but there's a Transformers anime headed to Netflix. They dropped a trailer on us, and it looked good. It looked really good. Netflix, I will say, has been kind of crushing it with these anime versions of, stories that we love. The Castlevania anime is great. This Transformers one looks fantastic. And then I don't know what the art style is going to be like. I don't know how anime-ish it will be. But of course, we've got Kevin Smith's He-Man coming, where they released the cast. Mark Hamill's in the cast. Henry Rollins, Sarah Michelle Gellar. So the cast looks good. I'll be curious to see it when they give us a trailer for that. But Netflix killing it, giving us geeks a lot of great fan service, which makes me very, very happy. Now, there's a lot of Star Wars news that broke this week. The first and biggest story, you may have heard of Star Wars Project Lumen. something along those lines. It was a hidden project. They announced what that was. It's Star Wars: The High Republic, a story that's going to take place about 200 years before the Skywalker saga. So we're talking about a story now with all new characters, all new villains. It's going to be a world that we're not familiar with. The only kind of drawback I had to the announcement of Star Wars: The High Republic is right now it seems to be focused on books and comic books, which is great, but Joe average Star Wars fan does not really buy that stuff. They're not like, on the geek level that we are, where we're going to ingest anything and everything Star Wars that we can. So the plan, from the way I read kind of the statement that Disney released, and then also a little bit between the lines of the statement they released, is that this is a testing ground. They're basically releasing this in this other media form of comic books and books to see how people react and see, maybe what characters people are drawn to and what characters perhaps fail. In the concept art, there was a Wookiee Jedi, which looked pretty cool. Like, I'm already on board for a Wookiee Jedi. And again, I think this is a really good idea. I think it's fertile ground to explore for Star Wars. But I would like it to be more in the TV series movie vein than comic books and that. And the art that I saw looked very kiddish. And I'm hoping they don't make it too kid-friendly. Make it a project for all Star Wars fans. So we'll be curious to see where the High Republic goes. In the same breath, basically, not in the same press release, but kind of all at the same time, Disney pretty much confirmed that there is a new Star Wars movie in development. Now, that is all we know. We don't know if this is, Rian Johnson's one, if this is the one that Kevin Feige was going to make. There's been a lot of rumors over the years on who was going to make Star Wars movies and what they were going to be about. As far as this kind of official, unofficial announcement was, they just said there's a new movie in development. So we keep getting mixed signals on the Star Wars universe when it comes to movies. At one point, Bob Iger said that they were going to take a little hiatus. Maybe that meant 2 or 3 years. So if that's the case, then yeah, this would be the time to start development on a new one. Because obviously you got to write a script. It can't be Skywalker Saga, so you got to set it in a different place and time. But I'm sure we'll get more news on whatever this new Star Wars movie is as things roll forward. Maybe even by the San Diego Comic-Con this year, they might be ready to announce something. And then this is just really cool. Do you remember back when you would play video games like on Nintendo and that, and they had cheat codes? Like Contra, right? Up, up, down, down, left, right, B, A, start. I will remember. They might as well put that on my tombstone. I remember that. There's a cheat code for Smuggler's Run at Disney World and Disneyland. When you ride Smuggler's Run, you usually have Hondo Anaka coming on and critiquing you and talking to you and all that kind of stuff because you're doing a job for Hondo. Well, there is a code that if you put it in, it will switch that mode to Chewie mode, and Chewbacca will show up and yell at you. Now, here's the thing. It's going to be really hard to put in this code because you have to hit certain buttons at each sequence in order. And there's 6 seats in one Millennium Falcon cockpit. So you'd almost need to have an entire group of 6 people, everybody knowing their part to play. And it's a little bit convoluted, so I'm not going to lay it out here. I'll put a link up, the Scotty Mars Show on Facebook, and at Scotty Mars on Twitter. And then that way you can jot it down and you can figure out who in your party is going to play what role in switching it over to Chewie mode. I think it would be great. I'm dying to do it. But most of the time I am not in Disney with 5 other people. At best, I'm there maybe with my wife. And I don't think I can convince her to put in cheat codes. I just think she would look at me very, very funny and be like, you want to do what? So unless I can luck into 5 other like-minded individuals, I don't know that I'll ever get to do Chewie mode. So if you do get to go do it, please tell me what it was like. I mean, I've watched the video. It looks really cool, but I just want a first-hand account of Chewie mode because I love that Wookiee. And moving over to some DC news, it's been very light in the Marvel news in the past little while. But switching over to DC news, just a couple of things to touch on there. The Harley Quinn animated series on the DC Universe app, way better than I thought it was going to be, first off. And secondly, it has been renewed for season 2, and season 2 coming much quicker than we thought. Rumor is we're going to get season 2 starting April 3rd. So a little over a month away, we're going to start to get the second season of the Harley Quinn animated show. If you haven't been watching this, it's really, really fun. It's an adult cartoon, perfectly fits Harley's kind of mentality and way she would go about doing things. Haley Coco, the girl from Big Bang Theory, she voices Harley, does a great job. Give her full credits for that. And it looks like Catwoman and Mr. Freeze are coming to season 2. That's 2 new characters that have been confirmed so far. To me, when I watched season 1, the standout was Bane. So I'm hoping there's more Bane in season 2. Whoever was voicing Bane did a killer job, and whoever wrote for those lines for Bane did also a killer job. The guy writing was jacked up on Venom. No two ways around it. And sticking with the world of Batman, we got our first look, not just in test footage, of the new Batsuit for The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson. And of course, whenever we get to see a new Batsuit, the internet went apeshit. I remember when we got our first look at Ben Affleck in his Batsuit. You had people going, "This is so cool," and then another half of people going, "It looks like shit. Why doesn't it look like Christian Bale's?" And that's exactly what we got this time. We got some people going, "It looks cool." And then we got some people going, "It looks like shit. Why doesn't it look like Ben Affleck's?" You just sit back and you scratch your head and you go, all right. Some real standout things about it is, first off, it looks very utilitarian. And I know the movie is supposed to be set in his first year or two of being the Dark Knight. And I think that also will explain why the suit may not be as streamlined as we are used to seeing a Batman suit be. There is a little bit, I think, of inspiration taken from the Christian Bale suits, especially like the Batman Begins suit and stuff. But one thing that's very cool, now the scenes are, the pictures were of the stuntman in the suit, and he was riding a motorcycle, and it looked like there was glasses in one shot that came down over his eyes. So we may get the white eye Batman in this version, which would be kind of cool. We haven't really had the white eye Batman in live action before. So I think that would be a really cool add-on to it. And again, there's no cape. I'm sure they're going to CGI in the cape afterwards. It worked perfectly in Man of Steel and Justice League and stuff like that. So I have no issues with that. There's no cape. And it's hard to get a real feel on how the suit is going to look and act from still shots from some dude's phone or, camera. I mean, yeah, we can get an idea of what it looks like, but most of the time when I see a still photo of a suit, and then when I see the actual suit in action on the big screen, it's not exactly the same. I see it on the big screen, and most of the time, even if I'm not a fan of the design of the suit, it looks better when you see it on film than in just a still photo. So I definitely am not shitting on this. I think it looks cool. To me, there's even a little bit of inspiration around the neck and back of the cowl area from Gotham by Gaslight. I could be wrong on that, but to me, that's what it harkened. There's a real high neck on it. So I kind of dug that. It's definitely a different look. But again, everybody's shitting on it. I don't understand. And I say this to every geek out there with the utmost respect for your love of the things that I love as well. But I don't understand why we take to social media to shit on them, especially before we have seen them. Like a still photo, fine. You can be like, nah, you can be skeptical. But when I see posts going like, this is fucking garbage, this movie's going to blow, all based on one still shot of the Batsuit, you need to calm the fuck down. I'm sorry, but you do. And I don't know why we need to, as geeks, do this. I know some people out there, sometimes it is the Marvel DC war. And if they see something DC, it's just a reactionary, I'm going to shit on it. And vice versa. I've seen DC people do it to Marvel. Nobody is immune to this. But I am just coming to you right now saying, you know what? We all love this stuff. Maybe you don't love Batman as much as you love Spider-Man, or maybe you don't love, Wonder Woman as much as you love Captain Marvel, or maybe you don't love Captain America as much as you love Superman. It doesn't matter. Let's just not shit on all our stuff, especially before we've even seen it. Let's all calm the fuck down. Let's take a breath. When you're sitting there at your Twitter and you're about to write something really nasty and shitty about something that you have no fucking idea about, take a breath and maybe don't. Maybe just write a little tweet about how much a particular character means to you. Put something positive out there as opposed to something negative. And that's weird coming from me because I'm basically Johnny Negative. So next week, hopefully I'll have some more interviews booked. I'm trying my damnedest. And again, if you have any suggestions, the Scotty Mars Show on Facebook and Instagram, at the Scotty Mars, or just at Scotty Mars on Twitter. And thanks again for spreading the word. Even Canada, there were some provinces that I hadn't broken into, like the prairies. We popped up on the prairies this past week. Excellent. Germany popped up this week. Really, really great. So continue to spread the word. Continue to rate us and review us really high. That helps spread the word a whole lot too. And until we chat again, have a great week.